Good evening and welcome back. You're watching Newsbreak. Now we're going to talk about a very significant story. You just saw a few days ago an RPF constable, a Railway Protection Force constable, using his service rifle, shooting people on a moving train between Mumbai and Jaipur. Now, since then, there was a disturbing video also which came out which showed him on a rant along Hindu-Muslim and India-Pakistan lines, thus suggesting that this was a hate crime. Now that angle must be kept under investigation because he targeted 3 Muslim men and his senior, an RPF senior. But now it appears, with latest documents coming in, that apart from this hate crime investigation, Constable Chetan could also have been mentally unstable. At least that is a subject matter of investigation which is going on now. The railway cop who killed 4 was sent for a mental health checkup. The railway police Jawan is said to have had mental health issues. Chetan Singh had a prescription for antipsychotic drugs, and that prescription is in the possession of NDTV. Singh prescribed antipsychotic drugs at a private hospital in Mathura. His family has described him as a short-tempered and hot-headed man, because of which he was seeking this medical help. Railway Ministry sources on their part seem to have ruled out any communal angle. This communal angle, as we just told you, was raised by videos of the cop during the killings where he can be heard. We'll not show you those clips because it's extremely sensitive, but he can be heard going on a Hindu-Muslim and India-Pakistan rant, lying right next to a dead body. Government sources also point out that the accused shot his boss, who is a Hindu, and thus this anti-Muslim or hate angle is not something which is a priority. That means, in their initial investigation, the railway, which is responsible for the Railway Protection Force, seems to suggest that this was a case of a constable being mentally unstable. But you see, there are a number of questions. When this is a theory which is being propounded now, there are a number of questions that come to the fore. Let's first tell you what exactly happened that day. The accused Chetan Singh and colleagues were on escort duty in a train. That's what the RPF is supposed to do. They are supposed to move around the train. A witness, and many witnesses in fact, who've been spoken to by the police during the course of the investigation, said that Singh lost his temper and shot his senior Tikaram Meena. He then went from coach to coach shooting 3 more, and as we now know, their names are Asghar Abbas Sheikh, Abdul Qadir Bhai and Sayyid Saifuddin. These 3 have been killed apart from Mr. Tikaram Meena, who was Chetan Singh's boss. Now let's come to those questions, the big questions, and let's deal with them one by one. Question number 1. Was railway police aware of Chetan's medical condition? Because they seem to be suggesting that he was mentally unstable. So were they aware of this mental instability? The answer is that media reports on the day this incident happened, they quote the RPF personnel, senior RPF personnel, saying that he was mentally unstable, which seems to suggest that they were aware. Next question. Did the family inform the railways of Chetan's mental condition? The answer, as we have learnt right now, the family told NDTV, and our colleague in Mathura spoke to certain family members, and we have learnt that this diagnosis and treatment was known. Everybody knew about this. Next question. What explains the killing of 3 Muslims, his senior, and a subsequent hate speech? So the answer to this question is that Rail Ministry sources have told NDTV that they are ruling out a hate speech angle as of this moment and the targeted violence angle. Rail Ministry sources say that a Hindu also was killed along with 3 Muslims. So it cannot be just Muslims. However, many questions are now being raised of how he went from one coach to another coach only and only targeting 3 Muslim men apart from his boss, who was not Muslim, who was Mr. Tikaram Meena from the Hindu community. Next question. Is the targeted violence angle not being probed at all? Is the hate angle, has the railways completely given a clean chit on the hate speech angle? Railway sources seem to suggest that the constable's psychoanalysis test is being considered, and only then they will come to a final conclusion. So in effect, they do rule it out as of this moment, but a psychoanalysis test will be done to see whether that was the truth or not. Because see, a lot of questions are now being raised on social media on whether this could potentially be a cover-up. In order to make sure that the hate speech angle does not come to the fore, is mental instability is actually a cover-up? This is also a question being asked. Next question. How is a mentally unstable, and this is the most important question that we will be asking on the show tonight, and we'll put this to a debate. If the railways, by their own admission, feel that this man was mentally unstable and this had nothing to do with hate speech, let's take them what they're saying at face value. One shouldn't, but even if you take that at face value, how was a mentally unstable person on duty carrying a weapon? Well, frankly, that's the answer to that question. Nothing. We do not know. Let's quickly put this to a discussion. We have Dr. Praveen Chintapanti. He is a consultant psychiatrist at the Apollo Hospitals. We have Dr. Deepak Raheja, Director and Chief Psychiatrist of Hope Care, and SP Vaid, former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Mr. Vaid, I want to begin with you first. Can you please tell our viewers, as you have been the head of a force, what is the protocol as far as checking the mental stability or condition of the cops who are armed, who are given weapons? Because, you know, once you possess a weapon, there is a very strong case of its misuse. So how do you ensure that a person is mentally stable and he can live with this responsibility called a weapon in the forces?
Thank you, Sanket, for giving me this opportunity. And let me tell you right in the beginning, it is a failure of leadership of the RPF, I would say. You can't give weapon to a person who is mentally unstable. And if what your report is indicating, that means the department knew about his mental condition. He was being treated. And as far as your question that what is the protocol, anyone who has a mental condition, there is no question of giving him weapon. You are putting his life into risk and life of others around wherever he is performing duty. He has to be put on duty where weapon is not required. He has to be put on a duty which is not very sensitive. He has to be put on a duty like you have a job like clerical job or job where desk job is there. You don't give a weapon to a person who is mentally unstable. Nothing could be failure of leadership more than this. You are jeopardizing the lives not only of that patient but everyone around him where he is performing duty. And I think I would scarcely blame the leadership of particular department where if they knew this, as per your reports, the family mentioned that everyone knew about it. So it is very, very unfortunate. You have lost 4 precious lives, including his own senior. And over and above that, see, Sanket, most ignored part of our health system is the mental condition. Mental health is the most ignored part in our country, and that applies to our forces also. You have a physical examination every year annually, but I think mental health is the most ignored part in the country, and same applies to most of the forces. But then where a particular person is undergoing treatment for the mental health, there is no point of
Mr.
giving
Vaid,
him weapon.
just wanted to ask you, as a person who has been the head of a very of a force that worked in extremely difficult conditions. In fact, the front line as far as terrorism is concerned in Jammu and Kashmir, you see, mental health issues must have come up in front of you also during your tenure. I want to know what is the protocol as far as ensuring that a person is healthy in his right mind as he carries and moves around with a weapon. What is the protocol? I mean, is there a regular test, or how do agencies find this out?
Sanket, we have actually come across, you are absolutely right. In Kashmir also, mental health is a big issue, and many of our boys do get depression because of the kind of duty they have to face 24/7, 365 days. They are under stress, and many of them, because of this stress factor, do get mental health issues. And there are many other reasons of mental health, not only stress. And most of the time, see, we do not have a very extensive system, but we do have annual medical checkup and examination, both in our police hospitals as well as in the district civil hospitals. And the Jawans are screened, and wherever you come across that somebody, a constable or an officer is suffering from mental health, there is no question of deploying him.
Now imagine the prescription note of a drug in this particular case is as old as February, Dr. Praveen. Now I just want to know from you, in a situation like this, where antipsychotic drugs are given to a patient, is it advisable for a person like this? I don't know. I mean, see, the answer is obvious. That obviously no, you can't carry a gun. When you are on such a drug, what does this mean in medical terms?
Thank you for having me. I think, Sanket, the measure of civilization of a society is measured by the way we treat our mentally ill people. And this is a clear reflection of a person who's got access to weapons and arms, goes about and allegedly, there is fratricide, a senior officer being killed, and there is also homicide. And given the circumstances, given that this person has been prescribed antipsychotic medications, is prima facie a great indicator that this person has been significantly unwell. If a person has received an antipsychotic, that means there has been good enough reason for the doctor to prescribe, and this person perhaps at some point lost touch with reality. And that is a great indicator. And perhaps the systems were not in place to pick this up, and so that the access to weapons was removed from this gentleman. I think that should have been the case. And it is a great indicator that this person probably was unwell significantly at some point of time during the last few months.
Dr. Raheja, I just want to ask you, see, there is great amount of curiosity in trying to understand that a person who is on these antipsychotic drugs has been under medical observation and under medical treatment, and that he is mentally unstable, and that person is aware enough that he picks up a weapon, goes to 3 different coaches in a train, and knows exactly who he is targeting. So he killed his superior, and then he killed 3 Muslim men in 3 different coaches. Now I can understand that someone is mentally unstable and he's just started spraying bullets. In this case, he knew who he was attacking because it was in 3 different coaches of a train. How does this work?
Sanket, mental illness can be classified in many categories, and in no way this behavior absolves or removes or eliminates the fact that this may still be a serious mental illness. He was prescribed antipsychotic, he was on treatment, again, I don't think it's even fair to vilify the fact that he was on antipsychotic medication, because such medication in different dosages are prescribed for different conditions. But I do agree with Dr. Praveen when he says that it must have been of a particular severity and of a particular kind for the doctor to prescribe the antipsychotic medication. And if this fact was known, for the fact that he was carrying a weapon was totally uncalled for. But in a particular kind of mental illness, in a particular kind of instability and state, for one to have a magnified, glorified communal thought where he targets a particular community or a particular religion is not totally ununderstandable. It can happen. So I don't think it is fair to presume that because he could go from coach to coach and he was looking for specific kind of looking people with specific looks who possibly belong to a particular community or religion, absolves the fact that he was unwell. But like my co-panelists were saying, for the authorities to have known and to still not have revoked, and forget the fact that whether this fact was known that there was a prescription and he was on antipsychotic medication, but the seniors have clearly acknowledged that he was hot-tempered, and for somebody even to depict that kind of deviance is good enough to not be in a position where somebody could endanger one's own or somebody else's or many people's life around them, So for people who are pilots, who are pilots who drive trains or who drive buses, where one person's suicidal intent could affect many lives that are around, is a matter of grave seriousness. And I think the lesson to be learned is that even the subtlest nuance of observation should call for revoke. I mean, we don't want to be a vilifying society. We don't want to be
Mr. Ved, do you feel the fear over here is that the moment somebody seeks medical attention, then it will forever be there on the record that this person is seeking medical attention, and thus his name will be struck off from the services, and that fear kind of plays on people's mind, and they do not want this to come out. But another point, I'm not casting aspersions, Mr. Ved, but it could also be in the realm of possibility that this whole mental instability could be a ploy to cover up the hate angle. And from a policing point of view, do you think that it is inappropriate to rule the hate angle out completely without even investigating it properly? Shouldn't everything be investigated?
Absolutely right. Investigation should look into all aspects. Whether see, if you scan his social media, you would come to know what kind of videos he was watching, what were his social media engagements. You will come to know of his state of mind, and if there is any communal angle to it, it could be part of the investigation. And I'm sure investigators should look into all the aspects. But then, see, there is general tendency in our society that mental illnesses are generally ignored, are seen as a blot, seen as a kind of social stigma. So generally people try to hide and do not disclose even to many family members other than those who are actually engaged in the treatment. Okay. And that could be one of the reason, probably because of the social blot it carries. I don't know, that should be part of investigation, whether his immediate superiors knew about it. If it was so, why did he shoot his immediate superior?
I think whatever comes out in the investigation, thank you very much, gentlemen, whatever comes, first of all, it's too early to rule out anything. Either a hate angle or the fact that the mental instability was hidden. Number one, if this is a hate crime, then it carries its own significance and importance, that what are such people doing with a gun. And secondly, if this is mental instability, then what was this man doing on duty with a weapon, with a condition, a medical condition like this? I think this is a very, very significant question. And either way, this is criminal, absolutely criminal. Somebody in the system, particularly the Indian Railways, needs to answer. Thank you very much for joining us.